Keto and Krime, Keto and Krime. We uncover the grime on Keto and Krime. Keto and Krime, Keto and Krime. Now is the time for Keto and Krime.
Hey everyone, Tracy here from Keto and Krime. Thank you so much to every single one of my patrons and channel members. You make this possible. And you're one of the reasons I do this. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And if I haven't said it before, thank you. I'll sing it. Thank you. Thank you for hanging in there with me and letting me geek out, not making fun of me like a lot of other people do, because I like weird stuff about crime and dark history. Thanks everyone. Hey everyone, welcome to Keto and Krime. For today's this week's first video, we're again going to go back to WNBA star Brittany Griner, the one that is being held now in Russia on a 9.5-year sentence for having cannabis oil and bringing that into the country. As you know, her appeal failed, and she had a few days still in the Moscow detention center, which, if you think about that, it's kind of like what a county jail would be here in the U.S. And I guess quality and, amenities kind of differ, from jail to jail. I did a little bit of time in a county facility for a very bad mistake, a DUI that I got, about 15 years ago. I have never done it again and will never do it again, so I can imagine the kind of facility that she has been in. She was also allowed to speak with her wife via uplink connection through the U.S. Embassy, and she was allowed to meet with U.S. Embassy officials, because believe it or not, we still have an embassy in Moscow, even though we're kind of in a quasi-war with Russia right now, even though, Ukraine is here and we're here along with the rest of NATO. But still, Russia is not prioritizing the prisoner swap that was offered. As you recall, the U.S. offered smuggler known as Death from Above, merchant of death Victor Bout, who is in a federal prison here in the United States on drug smuggling and arming cartels, all the bad stuff you can think about. There was on the table potential to trade for him for both Miss Griner and Paul Whelan, a United States American citizen held for several years now on spy charges. In addition, I mean, this would not be the first time the U.S. has done this kind of trade. Trevor Reed, who was held for about 4 to 5 years, was traded for a former Soviet pilot by the name of Konstantin Yurychenko. He was in prison for smuggling cocaine into the United States, and essentially that is what Miss Griner is in prison for, though it was only cannabis oil, which in the West, not a deal at all. You can buy cannabis oil online. In Russia, it's considered drug smuggling. So that is the reason she is facing a 9.5-year sentence. But she, again, back to the original point, Russia is just not interested right now in talking about that, though it may still be on the table later on. And I don't think they will be up for talking about that until they see how the invasion of Ukraine plays out. Because this has been such a high-profile prisoner, they know that Joe Biden, or this current administration's eye is on her, so they're probably going, now she has become a political pawn. I don't think originally she was. I think she broke the law, whether it was accidental or intentional. She broke the law. She did it. Now she has become a political pawn. I think this administration has made her one because they won't stop talking about it. In fact, the Russian embassy warned us, quit talking about it. If a prisoner swap happens, it's going to happen on the down low, which is kind of scary in its own way. But she is now pretty much political. But now she has been transferred, according to sources, to a Russian penal colony. about 300 miles from Moscow. Trevor Reed was held in the neighboring camp, so he's gone around. He's been interviewed about conditions and what she can expect there. But he was at the men's camp. She's at the women's camp. And what she can expect is to be housed in a dormitory-like facility with 100 women in the room. So they're going to literally be sleeping on top of each other. And she's going to be expected to rise every morning at 6 a.m. Everybody is herded out to the courtyard for calisthenics and exercise, 15-20 minutes of that. Then they're fed, which we use that term loosely, according to Mr. Reed and other people that have served time in a Russian penal camp. These are former gulags, by the way. These are the same gulags and camps that normal Russians were sent to when the communists took over. They haven't been updated since that time, I guarantee you. But anyway, and then she's going to be sent to eat, which loosely, again, according to Trevor Reed, they're fed a lot of soup, which is essentially just broth from animal and fish bones, or potato soup, which he said is mostly water, in addition to just, a lot of chicanery that you wouldn't want to eat. But that's what she's going to be looking forward to. They're only allowed to shower once or twice a week, and there is no hot water available. Because she is high profile, like he was, he says that he was kept a lot of the time in solitary confinement, which is just a very small concrete cell, a hole cut in the floor for a toilet, and you just sit there. You have nothing, you're just staring at the wall. So if you want to imagine that, according to, whereas the facility she's in now, she would have been allowed to play basketball. There's, it's just like your normal county jail with some amenities. And they do suspect she will be kept in solitary confinement, protected physically, because they do anticipate a prisoner swap at some point. We don't know when that will happen. So they will keep her in good shape so that she will be amicable to get what they want. We're contending they don't want Victor Boot anymore, or they would have already swapped for him. He's probably not considered useful to them anymore. So they're probably waiting for something a little more high profile, or him along with somebody else. So that remains to be seen. Also, according to sources, they are forced to work. This is not, where they're out cracking rocks into, big rocks into small rocks. For the most part, they are making stuff that the government of Russia can make money off of: souvenirs for tourists, clothes, their sweatshops. So if she is put into general population, she'll be working 8 to 10 hours a day, doing basically factory work, and be paid a few dollars a month. Not unlike what we do with our prisoners as far as making things like license plates or even working on farms. But at least I think our prisoners are treated a lot better than this. We have a little bit better amenities, but 1 to 2 showers a week, slop for food, and forced to work 8 to 10 hours a day to make stuff that can be sold to make the Russian government money. So that's what she can look forward to. And I tell you guys, even though my head still screams, yes, she did it to herself. But now I think, after the fact and what our current administration has done, she has become a political pawn, and I really do feel sorry for her, and my heart weeps. I would like to get her and Mr. Whelan out. If I could wave a wand, I would have her home, and hopefully with a little more appreciation for the country that she comes from. So I don't wish her any ill will. I don't really want to see somebody known as the Merchant of Death to American servicemen and law enforcement be released for her, but I will continue to tug at myself with that. But that's what she's facing right now. And so if you're a religious person, say a little prayer for her and Mr. Whelan and all people that are, held in Russia. I'm not going to say she's falsely held. She did the crime. But I think now she has turned into a political pawn. Not at the time of her original arrest, but now. I mean, essentially, Putin knows the government, the United States government, at least his current administration, wants her out. They're going to use her for such. So, my best to her, my best to her wife. I hope she gets out sooner rather than later. It's going to be bad for her. According to other sources, not a whole lot of heat in the winter, so it's going to be very cold. They are often denied access to medical care, so if she has any chronic conditions, you're not going to receive... I would die in one of these prison camps because I have asthma, and the cold weather does not do good things for my asthma. I would probably end up suffocating to death at some point. So I can understand what she's in for. Hopefully she's a healthy person with no chronic conditions and can outlast it. But with that being said, that's what we're seeing now with Brittany Griner. If there's any further updates, I'll let you know. And with that being said, I'll be back really, really soon. Until next time. Keto and Krime. Out.